we're with the man of the hour, the man who's just been endorsed by the Independence Party for governor, Tom Horner. How's it feel?
Well, terrific. This was a convention that we wanted to win and wanted to win comfortably. So we put a lot of time and effort into it in talking to delegates and understanding what their issues were, in putting on a good show here, working with delegates. And so feel very good that it all came out well in the end. It was very happy not only to win endorsement, but to win it with such overwhelming numbers on the first ballot.
It was 68.2%. They didn't even need to go to instant runoff voting. So now the party begins. What's the rest of the plans here for the day?
Well, so now we're going to go thank the delegates and the volunteers for all the work they've done to get us to this point. So we'll have a little celebration and then probably collapse tonight and right back at it tomorrow and on the road around the state next week.
And now that the campaign here is beginning in earnest, I guess now we have an endorsement. Several of your opponents indicated that they might run in the primary. Do you have any words for them?
Well, I would hope that we could unify, that we could be one voice. I think that everybody would agree that the Independence Party has an uphill run as it is. I think there's a great opportunity. I think that this is a year when Minnesotans are going to be open to a different voice. But I think it is the challenge of making sure that they hear that voice. And the more we dilute it, the more we disperse that voice, the more difficult it is. So I certainly intend to sit down with the other candidates here over the next couple of weeks before the filing deadline, ask them to join my campaign, invite them to be partners with me going forward, and hope that we can all rally together for the good of Minnesota.
Now, your general election opponents are probably going to be tied up here the next couple of weeks, or at least the next week, unless there's a special session trying to sort through Minnesota's financial problems. Right now, if you're sitting in the governor's chair, how would you be handling that situation?
Well, I mean, first of all, I would not have done the unallotment so early on in the process. I think unallotment is a necessary tool for the governor, but I think it's an emergency tool for the governor, not a first step. So that's the first point. At this point, I think you need to pull everybody together, not just Democratic and Republican legislators, but I think we need to get people involved who have a vested interest. We need to bring the healthcare people together, education people together, everyone to say, all right, we all have to figure this out together. We have to do it quickly. We have to make decisions that are in the best interest of Minnesota. So I think it's sitting down with mayors. I think it's sitting down with school superintendents, all of those people who have such an important role in what works in Minnesota and what we need for the future, and make decisions. The decisions are not going to be easy. The choices are going to be painful. They're going to hurt a lot of people. But it's the hole that has been dug that we now have to dig our way out of. And if we don't solve this $3 billion shortfall, it just makes it that much worse next year.
Now, one thing I did not hear in the convention, I'm not completely familiar with the rules, was a lieutenant governor candidate. Do you have one? How does that work?
Well, as you've seen with some of the other candidates, Speaker Kelleher, for example, we don't need a lieutenant governor candidate until we actually file. So I've been talking to a number of very good, qualified, interesting people, and we'll continue those conversations and have the right candidate before we get to the filing deadline.
Now, I know there was a move in the legislature this year to get rid of the lieutenant governor position. Is that something you might endorse, or do you think the lieutenant governor serves a purpose?
You know, I think we need to give the lieutenant governor a purpose. I think that there are valid concerns about what is the role of the lieutenant governor. I mean, we certainly don't need somebody who is just sitting by waiting for something, some ill fortune to befall the governor. So if we're going to have a lieutenant governor, and it's certainly my intention to then make sure that lieutenant governor has a vital role. I think that, much the same way that Walter Mondale created a different kind of vice presidency under Jimmy Carter, I think there's the opportunity to create a meaningful, real role for the lieutenant governor that has value and that can serve Minnesotans well.
Now, as you head out into the state, if you had to pick one issue, one topic that's going to be your defining issue and define you from the other parties and candidates, what is that going to be?
I think the issue has to be leadership. We need to get our fiscal house in order. We need to engage Minnesotans in the conversation around the difficult choices that lie ahead. When you look at a $3 billion shortfall this year, a $7 billion shortfall next year, we're talking huge portions of the Minnesota state budget that are at risk. And $7 billion is half of what we spend on K-12 education. It is about 75% of what we spend on health and human services, and it is as much as all the rest of government. So we're not going to get out of it easily. We need to have the kinds of conversations with Minnesotans that say everyone's expectations of government have to change. We have to start with the premise that not every problem has a government solution. Not every government program needs a permanent lifeline. And put our emphasis on those programs, those areas that deliver the most value for Minnesotans. That's the obligation. That's what I want to talk about. And I think this is a year when Minnesotans are open to those kinds of conversations.
Now, prior to this, the polling showed, I think one poll showed that you might have 10% of the vote, so a 10% of the vote base coming out of this convention. How are you going to parry that into a victory in November?
Well, so let me turn it around. What the polls really show is that I have 10% of the vote coming into this convention. I mean, all of those polls were done before I even was an announced candidate in some cases, and certainly before I had even done a formal launch. So I think what it says is there are 10% of Minnesotans who are saying, I don't care who the alternative is, I want an alternative. I think my opportunity is to build on that and to start making the case to other Minnesotans who are disaffected with Republicans and Democrats. They're disaffected with where the parties are at, with the solutions being offered. That's the opportunity I have. But it also is the challenge I have. I have to show that I can raise the money. I have to show that I can mount a good campaign, that I can be the kind of credible candidate, and convince people that I can be the kind of thoughtful governor who's going to lead Minnesota into the next 4 years. And if I do, I think the opportunity is there.
And there will be debates, I'm sure, between now and November, and obviously between now and August for the primary. Are you going to partake in those debates, no matter what the mix of candidates?
Absolutely. There can't be enough debates for me. I mean, I think that's the best way for Minnesotans to really understand how the party's different, how the candidates are different, where the different solutions are. And I think, first of all, it gives Minnesotans the information they need, unfettered by any kind of screen, to make a good decision. And secondly, I think it makes us better candidates and ultimately a better governor by challenging us, by making us really think through what our positions are. So I'm eager to participate in all the forums.
Okay, well, Tom Horner, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us here. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.